You know, when you think of Paris, there are a few landmarks that just pop into your head. And one of those is almost certainly the incredible Musée d'Orsay, that grand old building sitting right on the left bank of the Seine. But here's the thing. Behind that beautiful face is a wild story of near destruction. It's a story that reveals just how close we all came to losing this absolute gem for good. I mean, let's be real, this place is a powerhouse. It's a must-see for anyone who's ever fallen in love with a painting by Monet or Van Gogh or Renoir. It holds the single most important collection of art from that revolutionary period on Earth. But the most incredible part? This whole treasure trove of art was almost never a thing. Yep, you heard that right. This stunning temple to art was, just a few decades ago, a forgotten, crumbling train station. And worse, it was slated to be torn down to make way for a hotel. So how on earth did a derelict railway station become one of the most beloved museums in the entire world? Well, the story of its survival and its incredible comeback is honestly just as dramatic and captivating as any of the paintings you'll find inside. Its journey is just wow. It all kicked off in 1900. The Gare d'Orsay opened as this futuristic marvel for the World's Fair. But technology moves fast, right? By 1939, the trains got longer and its platforms were suddenly too short, so it fell into disuse. For decades, it was a mail center, a movie set, even a home for a theater company, until 1973, when a last-minute decision saved it from the wrecking ball. And that paved the way for its grand reopening as the museum we know and love in 1986. And what a building to save. The scale of this place is just mind-boggling. To build the original station, it took 12,000 tons of metal. To put that in perspective, that is almost double the amount of metal used for the Eiffel Tower. It's this incredible monument to 19th century industry, which, when you think about it, makes it the absolute perfect place to show off the revolutionary art from that very same era. And oh, was that art revolutionary. The museum is basically ground zero for Impressionism and Post-Impressionism. We're talking about artists who saw the world in a completely new light and were brave enough to paint what they saw, no matter who they shocked. This quote from Cézanne, it just sums it all up, doesn't it? These artists weren't just trying to paint pretty pictures. They were challenging the entire idea of what art was supposed to be. They believed that even something as simple as an apple, if you really looked at it and painted it with a new vision, could totally change the game. And you can see this creative energy everywhere. Take this, for example. It's such a great story. First, you've got Monet's masterpiece from 1863. It caused a massive scandal. A nude woman having a picnic with two fully dressed modern guys? The official art salon rejected it outright. So just 3 years later, a young Claude Monet decides to make his own version as a tribute. It was gigantic, over 20 feet wide. But he never finished it. He ended up giving it to his landlord to cover his rent, and the landlord stored it in a damp cellar where it got all moldy. Monet had to cut it up just to save what he could. Incredible, right? And almost every masterpiece in here has some wild, often scandalous backstory. You've got the whole intense, dramatic friendship between Van Gogh and Gauguin that ended with the infamous ear incident. Then Monet goes and causes another scandal with his Olympia, a portrait of a prostitute staring right at you, totally challenging your gaze. But then you have the pure joy of Renoir's famous Bal du Moulin de la Galette. It's like a perfect snapshot of a happy moment. And of course, there's Degas. His paintings of ballerinas are just sublime. But the man himself, yeah, he was notoriously difficult, to put it mildly. But the Musée d'Orsay isn't just a random collection of famous paintings. No. It was created with a very specific and, frankly, brilliant purpose in mind. And here's where it gets really smart. The whole collection is laser-focused on the art made between two very specific dates, 1848 and 1914. Now think about that period. It was a time of huge social change, political revolutions, and, of course, artistic rebellion. And this museum captures that chaotic, brilliant transition perfectly. See, before the d'Orsay came along, there was this massive gap in Paris's art scene. You had the Louvre, which covers everything from antiquity up to about 1848, and then you had the Centre Pompidou, which picks up with modern art from 1914 onward. The Musée d'Orsay was literally created to be the missing piece of the puzzle. It's the bridge that connects the classical world of the Louvre to the modern world of the Pompidou. Genius! But you know, it wasn't all smooth sailing when it opened. The architect's bold, modernist interior design was, let's just say, controversial. Some critics even called it neo-Mussolini. Ouch. And even the way they displayed the art came under fire. They made this wild choice to hang the so-called bad, traditional academic art right next to the Impressionist masterpieces. But the curators had a great reason. They wanted you to see them side by side, so you could decide for yourself why the new stuff was so groundbreaking. Okay, so we've talked about the art, but honestly, one of the most unforgettable parts of visiting the d'Orsay is the building itself. It's one of those amazing places where the container is just as jaw-dropping as the contents. You're not just looking at art, you are literally standing inside another masterpiece of 19th century design. That soaring iron and glass roof just floods the whole place with natural light. It creates an atmosphere that you just can't fake. I mean, that huge main hall where trains used to pull in is now this grand sculpture gallery. The giant clocks you see everywhere, those are the originals from the station. And that view, that iconic view of Paris you get looking out through the glass of the massive clock on the 5th floor, it's just breathtaking. And the paintings are all housed in what used to be the station's hotel, which gives the galleries this really cool, intimate kind of vibe. All right, so if I've convinced you that you absolutely have to see this place for yourself, I've got a few quick tips to help you make the most of your visit to this incredible museum. A little planning makes a huge difference here. First, and this is probably the most important tip I can give you, book your tickets online. Seriously, do it. You'll skip a line that can easily be an hour long. Second, if you have any flexibility, try to avoid Tuesdays and Sundays. They're by far the busiest days. And third, give yourself at least 2 solid hours. Trust me, any more than that without a coffee break and you're just going to hit art overload. And nobody wants that. And here's all the essential info you'll need at a glance. You can see the hours, the transport options. Oh, and check out that late night opening on Thursdays. That can be a fantastic way to see the collection with way fewer people around. With this, you should be all set to plan a perfect visit. And all of this brings me to a final thought. The Musée d'Orsay, when you really think about it, is more than just a museum. It's a statement. We took a place that was built for constant motion, for coming and going, and we turned it into a place for stillness and contemplation. So what does that say about us as a culture, when we decide that a building designed to get people somewhere is actually more valuable as a place that encourages us all to just stand still and look?